G'day everyone, welcome to Daz Talks Footy. Daz here as per usual, and this is AFL Wordle, or Warple for those obviously paying attention along at home. How's that for a really smooth, shitty intro? But this is really cool. Spoiler for today's, it's Mcrae Cockatoo. Got that in 4 guesses, which was cool. And also a fun fact, more useful than the actual AFL Warple, because poor Jimmy had 72% time on ground for 5 possessions. Oh boy, Jimmy. Just got to be better than that, son. You're playing football like Daz performs in a nightclub is not what anyone wants. It's a lot of effort, a lack of confidence, and after 3 hours, everyone's disappointed. So, and a big improvement on that, Jimmy, whether it's at Box Hill or in the seniors next week against the Cats, would be much appreciated. But also, if you like Wordle or you think you'd be good at this game, check it out. They're not paying me to say that. I think they should. But it's as simple as you've got to guess who the current AFL player is, and they give you some clues along the way. So, of course, Cockatoo, all of these are correct. They're obviously all green. I started with Jack Scrimshaw, because why wouldn't you? So, the yellow there, signifying that either brown or yellow is in the actual team's colours. The state is the state that they play, which means if your first guess whether you use the silhouette or not should probably be a Victorian player. There's 10 teams, Vic bias, there is a good thing here. Medium defender, so the position obviously, when do they make their debut? Which is an interesting one for me. When I'm doing guesses, I don't really take that into account because the debut and the age kind of marry up together anyway. So cool. And the jumper number there, again, the height, if it's a medium defender, and the height just tells me, is it a key defender or is it a smaller player, a key position or smaller player. So if you want to give that a go, do that. But it was another rise up the rankings for Monica Lipinski this week, 22-15, and I had Rochelle on the bench and Hugh Dixon. So as far as I'm concerned, everything's going all right at the moment. 4 out of 5 league wins, I will take that. Again, I'm not a league player. I think there are different strategies you can use when you play to win your league and you play to get the highest ranking. So the rankings is probably a bit more conservative and just gradually rise, but nearly a 3k jump there, as you can see, just inside the top 24k. I feel like people will tell me or you to be disappointed if you're around this mark, but if this arrow is going upwards every week, you're flying, and you've only got to have a 3k jump in a month. Oh, we're just outside the top 10,000. That's how you get up there. So, goodness me, all these people out here that look like they're going to peak at round 4, no thank you. Continual improvement. And what was more astounding than all of this stuff with 31 trades left is I had a draw in draft, which I've never seen before, but 16-27 with Jag. Jag works with my brother and is an elite man himself, so shout out to him. Got pantsed in the Daz Talks Footy Draft League there. Good 82-point win. But let's get into the team first. Some players that I'll be looking at. Some players you should be keeping an eye on in the future. Captaincy and vice-captaincy options. And a bit of planning. So I probably should have clicked on that as I did that awesome little transition. But here we are. Welcome. Jaden Short, Jack Crisp, tick, did their job. I said Crisp and no DeGoey will probably go off, and he did. DeGoey's got to come back, but Jamie Elliott has hurt his shoulder, which means DeGoey is going to need to play more time forward. So, Jack Crisp, if you've still got him, keep him. He's pretty safe at the moment. Oh, he's going to do a knee. But at the moment, Jack Crisp is safe. Jake Bowie, he looks like an ideal upgrade target. Does play GWS this week. So, do you risk the 83? It's a good question. Paddy McCartan, the Sydney injury report on the day said he's fine, and I haven't heard anything to suggest that he's not fine so far. I'm really impressed with Sam De Koning as someone that really likes watching defenders. He was great and got the VC loophole there. Yuland came on with Hinge on the bench with Stewart out with Gastro and took Isaac Heaney down there as the VC, which I was very, very happy with. Hinge, I haven't heard about his fitness or whether he's okay, so I'll go over some trade plans if Hinge is in or out, so I'll cover both. We'll do that in a sec. Jackson Mcrae, Can't complain, 158. Pretty popular captaincy choice, and I can understand why, but I just thought Heaney v North, a point of difference. And I'm not complaining. 131 from Heaney. If you take it before Mcrae plays, you don't really have the right to complain afterwards, because the next time you complain, the player that you change to late will score 40, and it's your own fault. So, the karma bus is very real. Steele gets a tick. Lockie Neal broke the tag. Isn't that frightening? Matt Crouch and Matty Rowell, you guys are filling my head in. Now, ideally, you would cash in, Horn Francis, maybe, not this week, and, upgrade both. Geez, that'd be a pain, or something like that. But, I mean, they're not the top of my priority list, so I've got other things to take care of, but I'll just slightly move that. There we go. Apologies if that little audio bit there was crap, but they're just kind of there, It's a bit like me at a house party. It's just kind of there, not really bothering anyone, but it's, if they weren't there, would it make a difference? I'm not going to trade them this week, but they're a future headache. We'll go with that. Horn Francis, Dacos, bang bang, no complaints at all. Took McDonald over Ward. I mean, it's only 18 points, but 22-33 would have been really, really handy. Again, I'm not complaining too much, but Gaundy back in form. Brodie Grundy is playing possibly some of the worst footy I've seen a bloke that just churned out 120. But his year so far has not been good enough, and not from a SuperCoach point of view. I mean, it's fine, I suppose, but Collingwood fans, I think, need to be more upset at his contract, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Hugh Dixon, his job security looks elite, with Nick Natanui sitting on the pine, so keep an eye on him. Dunkley gets a tick. Isaac Heaney gets a tick. Zach Butters, I'm not trading him because Ollie Wines is out. So, if he can't do really, really well with no Ollie Wines, that'll be 3 subpar scores in a row. Timmy Taranto is staring at me going, Daz, I know I don't use the footy that well, but oh boy, get around me. So, Zachy Butters, you are on your last leg, son, and you've got a Carlton midfield without Cripps potentially. I still think Cripps is a 50-50 at this point, but Zach Butters, you're on notice. Stephen Coniglio was BOG or one of last week and played the first 3 quarters, and about the 24th minute mark, I think it was, he gave up on a chase. Was it Heath Chapman he was chasing? I think it might have been. And you could tell he was gassed. He'd pretty much, he'd missed so much footy. And then, longest flight. I mean, it sucks because, he's in the SuperCoach team, and I'm not here to make excuses, but everyone saying, he scored 60 in the first 3 quarters, why couldn't he go on with it? He just looked gassed. So they've got a bit of a break, the flyover. He'll be fine to play. I'm not sure if I'm expecting a ton out of him this week, but hopefully an improvement on the 64. Will Brodie. Why can't Gold Coast get the best out of their midfielders? It seems like he's another one that Gold Coast are focused on what they can't do rather than what they can do. Hello, Jared Lyons, if you're listening. But it's like, okay, he can't run out a game. He's had 37 touches on 70% game time. Like, this isn't coincidental anymore. If they're, is a Braden Fiorini ready to break out in another club? I've got no idea. But, once they get Elijah Hollands in there, just, let the kids play and express themselves. And some of them aren't kids anymore, I know. And Will Brodie's not a kid per se, but geez, can we focus on what these guys can do rather than what they can't do? Goodness gracious me. Nick Martin gets a tick. I took him over Rochelle, and at quarter time I was feeling like a genius, and then it blew up in my face. But where I went wrong this week is Friday night I had Dylan Stevens out of the team for Thompson Dow, I think it is. Yeah. And then had Rochelle at M8. That'd have been handy. Extra, 79 points. Oh, it's 83 points. Wow, looking at 2,300 if I could have swung that. So that sucks, and it's one of those things that, okay, I've kept the trade, that's nice, and I might have to end up doing that trade anyway, but instead of Dow, it's a Windhager. That's definitely something I'm looking at. Cashing in Stevens for Windhager, pocketing the 84 and a bit K, and then making Rochelle my M8. It's definitely something that I'm looking at as a second trade. If it wouldn't be. Sorry, I should say. It won't be my number one trade for the week. I mean, sometimes you just got to live with it. That M8 is a problem, but it's all about the defense this week. So Jake Bowie is the guy that there is a little part of me that wants to. There's a part of me that does want to keep him because I think he can go large against the Giants, but he can't put up 47 again. It's as simple as that. Or it's just going to drop in price and we were just too close to it. So I don't have the money to swing him straight away, so it's going to have to be 2 trades, which opens up an interesting question. Do we upgrade or do we downgrade? Now, if Mitch Hinge doesn't play this week, I think that answers the question beautifully. We would go Hinge down to O'Driscoll, pocket about 100k, and then we would upgrade Bowie to either James Sicily or Lockie Whitfield. They're the guys at the price that are looking okay. Now, between the two of those, James Sicily's the better option, only because Hawthorn's midfield just can't pressure the opposition at all. The Saints had 14 inside 50s where they didn't score, and Sicily still ended up on 113. That's pretty significant. That is pretty significant. I just stifled a burp then. That was gross. So if Hinge doesn't play, down to O'Driscoll and then Bowie up to Sicily would be the go. And that would also give me, if we count Rowell as half a keeper, and I'll count Canelio as a keeper for now, that would give me 1, 2, 3 with Sicily, 4 with Tommy Stewart, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, Crouch, he's bothering me, but he might be my ending M8. Maybe. So we'll see how that goes. And then Crouch would, Rowell would be 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, 11.5, 12.5, 13.5, 14.5 keepers. And Will Brodie's currently averaging 100. So if it might not be around 23 keep, but he is post-buy almost locked in with this kind of form. Not expecting 135s every week, of course, but the role is there. The time on ground may not be there, but he's just finding the footy at will. Nat Fyfe, they think, is not going to be back for at least another month. So if we count him as a keeper, that's 15.5. If we count him as half a keeper, it's 15, essentially. And Rowell and Brodie are kind of on probation. So the side itself is actually looking okay with Sicily in there. Now, the second question needs to be asked. What if Hinge does play? Well, we still need O'Driscoll because he's the cash cow in defense that everyone needs. So would we then have to cash in Bowie? Which means we would have 224k, I reckon, off the top of my head. This could be really horrific math, but I think it's 224. OD, and he should just come up. There he is, the nod, 224. Yeah, bang, there we go. Reese can do math. Well done, Daz. So we'll just confirm that for now because it's really easy to undo changes and all that. So if we bring Stewart on field for Yuland, we'll just make Stewart the captain just for now. It's not going to stay that way. Goodness me. And then we bring Hinge onto the field for DeConning? Geelong Hawthorn? DeConning, yeah. Might not be down there much this week. Now that gives me obviously the 3 keepers, the 3 there, 224k in the bank. So then, what do we do with this information? Well, what we would do is probably suck it up this week and make M8 relatively weak. And then the week after, if Marcus Windhager holds his spot or Ned Long comes in, I think he's really close to a debut for the Hawks, we would then cash in Dylan Stephens for Windhager or Long. They're both mid-forwards. We would then make Josh Rochelle our M8. And then we would trade Ward for either Cripps or even a Luke Parker, who's going to drop below 500k this week after a 39. But without Buddy, he's going to have to play a bit more time forward, and we know how impactful he can be forward of centre with the 5 goals against the Giants. He's someone I'm definitely looking at. And that opens up plenty of options. So who would have thought my trade plans this week involve Mitch Hinge? It's extraordinary. So if Hinge plays, I'll probably cash in Bowie for O'Driscoll and just leave it for this week. and assess again. Still want to hold on to some trades there and got the money in the bank, building that war chest as we know. And of course, that 224k covers everyone if I get an injury. So if Rao gets an injury, then I've got 600k to play with. You beauty. Crouch gets an injury, I've got 700k to play with. Pretty much, I'm rounding down a little bit here, you know. Will Brodie gets injured, you know, I can make a swap from, you know, I can make Stevens win Hagar and put Brodie in there and then upgrade Brodie. Like, it just gives me so many options, that 224k, which I do like. But if Hinge is out, then I'm going to have to go Hinge down to O'Driscoll and then Bowie up to Sicily. Again, I don't hate that at all. Sicily is a keeper and fantastic. The knee doesn't look like he's bothering him at all. In a perfect world, the one trade looks really good. And also, if Patrick Cripps does play this week, I find it really hard to believe he's going to beat his break-even of 150, which means he's going to be 520-odd-K. Which means that this strategy here, next week, I'm going to be able to go Stevens to win Hager, and then Ward to Cripps. Oh, so good. Win Hager in that midfield gives me some flexibility, which works. Or if Ned Long makes his debut, he's a tackling machine, he's got the size, he's got the skills. He should have kicked 2 or 3 goals in Devonport against the Tigers. He kicked 4 behinds. Come on, Ned, you got to be better than that, son. But an upgrade happening next week makes me feel better than an upgrade happening this week, but no one can sneeze if they've got Sicily in the team. If you do have Cripps and you don't have a lot of money per se, then I honestly think a hold is an okay option if it is a first week. And if he's on your bench and you've got a bit of midfield to work with, then you could absolutely go him to Parker next week if it's going to be a long-term injury. Parker's at about 460k, so you're still saving 60 odd, and you might be able to have flexibility with a rookie that might be on the bubble or something like that. Or if you've got Bowie in the team and you've got Cripps per se, Bowie down to O'Driscoll and Cripps up to whoever you want. Is it a Brayshaw, a Tuke Miller if you don't have him, a Jack Steele if you don't have him, Mcrae if you don't have him, whoever the upper echelon of midfielders are that you don't have that you really, really like, highly recommend going to one of them as well. You'll still have plenty of cash in the bank, and that's something you can do. Just because I don't have Cripps doesn't mean I can't help you out. So in terms of what I want to do going forward, if this is the way that it goes, then definitely an upgrade will be happening in the midfield. M8 is the real weakness in the side right now, and I know that. If O'Driscoll doesn't play, for example, knock on wood that he does, because it helps cash cow style, then I would probably keep Bowie, to be honest, this week, and just do Stevens down to Windhager and make Rochelle my M8, which really fixes that problem. So O'Driscoll kind of being the rookie that everyone needs right now, even though he's had a price rise, is kind of a pain. Like, come on, Nod, what are you doing to us, son? After that beautiful 104. So there is still finagling to be done, but the fact that I've got a plan for this, a plan for this, a plan for this, I think that's what you've got to do as a SuperCoach player. You don't have to agree with my plans, and by all means, I'm not telling you what you absolutely need to do. This is just a bit of light-hearted banter of a really, really fun game, a really, really fun way to play the game. But I believe to play this as best you can, you've got to go, okay, if this happens, I can do this, 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 this. And throughout all situations, you know what to do. And just don't do what I do, which is drink on a Friday night when you're watching the footy, and then you completely forget to do the necessary moves when you wake up on a Saturday. Now, the Cripps thing's going to be a bit more complicated because it's such an extended round, Thursday to Monday this week. So hopefully we hear something early about whether Cripps is going to play or not. Fingers crossed he's not a laid out for those that are there. If he does play and gets through the game, then I think that'll be his down week, and he'll be so cheap to pick up. Under 500k, I think you'll be laughing. Crouch, Rowell, Cripps, they won't be in that price order. Cripps, Crouch, Rowell. Try saying that 5 times really fast. Horn, Francis, Dacos, that is a good back end of the midfield for me. I've still got my 3 rookies in defense, but considering Hinge and McCartan haven't got a whole lot left in terms of money making, downgrade one, upgrading another. Some guys in defense that you might be looking at. Whitfield's BE is about 80, so I don't think he's going to explode in price. Luke Ryan's price is dropping for guys that we might be looking at. I still think Luke Ryan has the potential to be a premium. I think he just went through an identity crisis last week when O'Driscoll and Chapman just took a lot of the points. I don't think Hayden Young had that big of a game either, so the two rookies stepped up, which is okay, that happens, but Luke Ryan, I think, is going to play every game and perform really well. So under 500k, he'd definitely be someone to look at there. And up forward, I'm not touching my forward line until one of them goes down with an injury or if Zach Butters goes really crap, which is something that I really hope doesn't happen. But if worst comes to worst and I need to get Butters to someone, Tim Taranto seems to be the obvious one to look at the moment. His turnovers do kill his score, but he gets so much of the footy and he can kick a goal. That would be the way to go. The captaincy, vice-captaincy options. Lachie Neale looks like the vice-captain for me. Early game against the Pies. The Pies don't tag. So if that's going to work for me, internet, at some point. No? Okay. Well, Lachie Neale's going to be the vice-captain this week, and I'll chuck the C on Steele. The Suns, I know Matty Real has been a cooler, more than a tagger. That's the buzzword of the competition right now. But Georgie Hewitt still scored pretty well, and I think Steele could go large, especially with the dynamic of the Saints midfield right now. So that's my plan going forward with some players that I'm also looking at, and plans on plans on plans. Fingers crossed you enjoyed. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. You're just punishing yourself at this point because you will be missing out on some top tier content. I hope your team is going well. If I'm playing you in any of the leagues this week, good luck. Hope we both go beautifully. Hope we all draw, because we'll be doing fantastic work with some massive scores. Can't wait to talk to you next week. The tips video for round 5 will be coming in the next day or two. Work is ramping up at the moment. I'm actually filming this on my work break, so that's how well I'm going at the moment. I hope you're going even better. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Goodbye.